Hi all, good morning and good evening. Welcome to Clear Code Camp. Thanks for joining the session. As you have seen through the earlier camps, a few people are new over here and few people have attended my earlier sessions. So let me just give a short intro about what Clear Code Camp is all about. So Clear Code Camp is an online camp which we organize every weekend on Sunday of IST at morning 9 o'clock, considering different topics that are trending in the industry as of then. And we started this about a couple of months back, and this is going to be the fifth camp that we are working with. So every week we are working on different concepts, starting from Cucumber Java, working on the differences between C Sharp and Selenium Java, and working with the different frameworks of web service testing, that is SOAP UI, and working with other web service testing languages in it. So these are all different expertise that we have worked around with Selenium, and we have also worked with mobile testing in one session. And this session is going to be on Robot Framework. So Robot Framework, when you consider today's agenda of Robot Framework, is going to be all about this. That is working on where from the Robot Framework started with, what are the features and capabilities of Robot Framework, and what is the difference between a Robot Framework and Selenium, or how Selenium is adapted into the Robot Framework, and performing certain web testing applications based on Robot Framework. So as people who have attended the earlier session would be knowing, Clear Code Consulting Camp is going to be a complete explanatory session. It's not going to be an intro session for any session that is going to happen in future. And we are not doing this commercially. We are just doing this for the branding purpose. So people who have joined new can just get to know about this. These two lines are just to explain about our background. So with the people into this organization, it's me and Mr. Balaji. So any doubts you have at any point in time, you can drop a message to the organizer, Mr. Balaji, and he would be able to help you out in the installation part or anything. And if in case you have any issues, you can contact him anytime over the chat. He'll be there to support you out. So this session would include everything in detail, right from the installation part, going through different stages of installation, and performing the installation from the scratch, considering that you have a raw machine, and then performing all the advanced setup task, everything put together is going to be covered in this particular session. So starting with the origin of Robot Framework or history of Robot Framework. Robot Framework initiated in the year 2005, and later on there were a bit development that came in year 2008, and now the latest version of Robot Framework is going to be 3.0. Robot Framework is not specific to Selenium. Just like you have Java, Python, etc., Robot Framework is also a generic language that could be used in automating any scenarios. Robot Framework is basically a keyword-driven framework where every individual functionality in a Robot Framework is going to be keyword-driven. So say for example, you want to initiate a browser in your testing environment. You will have open browser as a command. So using open browser as a single command, you can initiate the browser straight away. So normally people who have worked on Selenium would be knowing that you need to write 2 or 3 lines of code to initiate the browser, maximize the browser, and initiate a link, all that. But with respect to your Robot Framework, you say open browser as a single command that will initiate the browser, and along with that you can pass the parameters of what link you need to open and which browser you need to open, etc. So we'll see through all of them with hands-on example on web testing, and we'll move forward. So today's concept of Robot Framework is going to be specific to Selenium, but I'll also guide you on how to read through the documentations, how to take you across different environments, and how to get adapted to various installation environments, or how to get adapted to various framework structures. We'll talk about them in detail shortly. So moving forward, basically when you consider a Robot Framework, it's going to be keyword driven and it's going to be behavioral driven as well. So a Robot Framework being Python driven as a scratch, it could support various operating systems, various platforms. So it's a cross-platform testing suite, I would say. And it's a keyword-driven framework, or data-driven capabilities are also there with respect to Robot Framework. There are some inbuilt libraries and there are some external libraries. So the basic scratch to start with Robot Framework is, since it's Python driven, it's developed on Python. Since it's Python driven, we need to install Python first. So you can just get on to python.org, and on python.org you can just scroll over to the downloads and you can click on this Python 3.6.5 download. If it is a Windows machine, or if it is other operating system, you can just click on this downloads. get in and you can choose different operating systems over here to install your latest version of Python. Once you have downloaded your Python, you can just go ahead with a pip install straight away. So you can just click that, install it, and you can just say install now or upgrade now. Because I already have a version, it tells upgrade now. You can go with install now, it would show you over there, and it would take through all these installation stages. Initially I'm just doing it all through again to show you how to go ahead with every individual stage. As I told you, this is not going to be an intro session, this is a complete session of Robot Framework, and this would be a complete overview with hands-on sessions as well. So you can go through the installation process while your installation is happening. Since I already have Robot Framework, since I already have Python installed in my machine, I need not use pip install straight away. But then if you are installing Python for the first time in your machine, you need to also enable a pip. Pip is nothing but Python index packages. Every library that you have in Python, normally if you have worked with Selenium, you would be knowing that we'll add jar files to the project. But when you consider Python, it's not that way. We need to do pip install. Pip install is like Python index packages, index of all libraries that are used in Python. So we need to install every library using pip, and then that gets stored to a common library location in your Python memory. From there, when you're taking up the program and executing, it refers to that location and pulls out the code. So you just need to write import line. You need not add the library every time to your project. That is how Python is going to work. So Python, when you consider, it's an interpreted programming language where you need not compile it, you can straight away execute it. So there is no intermediate compilation files available like you have a .class file or .dll file in C# or Java, etc. You don't have that in Python. So this is all about the background of where we are going to start with Robot Framework. Once the installation is done, I'll just move forward with the installation commands of Robot Framework, what you need to do stage by stage. So considering Robot Framework, you can get onto robotframework.org, the official site of Robot Framework. So once you are done with Python installation, almost 80% of your installation activities are done. So while that is happening, I'll also take you through the other environments where you can see through the Robot Framework installations and where you can learn through the activities. So Robot Framework is basically ATDD, that is nothing but BDD framework, where you will write the features and from the features it's going to start executing. So you will have detailed documentation available on robotframework.org. You can get onto the documentation pad and it talks about installation and introduction slides. So it would also have slides from the LinkedIn slide environment, SlideShare environment, where it will talk about the Robot Framework in high level architecture and low level architecture, all that, and how to start with the Robot Framework coding. All that would be available under this robotframework.org documentation introduction slides. So when you now get on to libraries, under libraries you will have various libraries that are available. That is standard library, external library, and user defined library. So when you consider standard library, these are all inbuilt libraries. You will have built-in libraries, and then you will have XML libraries, screenshot libraries, collections libraries. So collections libraries are going to talk about the dictionary, the list, all that put together. And all of these are going to be different components that you can add to your Robot Framework and you can execute it. So these are all various environments in which Robot Framework is going to work. So while the installation is happening, let's also discuss about the external frameworks. So external frameworks, when you consider, you have Android library using which you can do certain development environments of Android as well and testing environments as well. So this is not specific to testing. This is a common platform like I told you earlier. It can interact with any element that you want. It can interact with database, it can interact with the web application, it can do API testing, it can do HTTP protocol transfers or FTP transfers. You have different libraries and you can even do development using the Robot Framework, provided it's a ADDD structured code. That is automation test driven development structured code. So if you want to know more in detail about what ADDD or what BDD is all about, you can see to my first session that is on Cucumber and Java, which you will have it in my site clearcodeconsulting.com slash. So you can get on to clearcodeconsulting.com and over there you will have CCCS camp, that is Clear Code Consulting Services camp. That is the one which you are attending now. So if you get onto this particular page and scroll down, you will have all my previous recordings. In that, the first recording, you will have it at the right side corner that gets loaded over here, Java Cucumber. So this talks more in detail about what is ATDD, what is BDD, all that. And you can see through that for details on what is ATDD and what is BDD, or how does Cucumber come into existence. Then you can get into Robot Framework, and you can also do with Python. So physically telling, for Robot Framework, you need not know Python straight away. As far as you are good in using the keywords of Robot Framework, you need not know Python. When should you know Python? When you are working with Robot Framework. So specifically when you're working with Robot Framework, if you want to create a user-defined library, if you wanted to write a code on how things should work, then you need Python or Java integrated with Robot Framework. Robot Framework is not only Python, it can also take in Java libraries and it can execute. It can also call in modules and methods from Java and run it. So Robot Framework is not only specific to Python, it's all integrations of Python. You have Python, Jython, that is Java Python, IronPython. So all these are allowed as different integrations with respect to Robot Framework that you can install your Robot Framework on and you can work with. So when you get onto the documentation part and you get onto installation instructions, there you can see through the details, that is which talks about the Python, IronPython, all that. So you have all these over here: Python, Jython, IronPython, PyPy, using pip. All these you can work with Robot Framework installation part. So these are all different environments in which you can run your Robot Frameworks with. So talking more in detail about Robot Framework has Python as a scratch, but it can integrate with other programming languages as well that can be connected with Python. So Jython is nothing but Java and Python put together. You can execute a Java code and a Python code combined together. You can define a method in Java and you can pull that into Robot Framework. So where does Jython apply into a corporate environment? Let's say your organization has a well managed Java framework. You have a Java Selenium framework that is well structured. You have all your own defined methods over there. That is a report with screenshot, a report without screenshot, or failure, pass status, all that you have well defined and created a foolproof framework with you in Java. And you wanted to write a Robot Framework now. If the client is asking you for a Robot Framework now, all that you can do is you can use the same set of libraries what you have created, just call it into Robot Framework and execute it straight away just by calling the same method names over here. So that advantage you have when you're working with Robot Framework. You can also connect to Java libraries, but the coding is going to be on your Robot Framework. So all these we would be seeing through stage by stage when we are going to work with Robot Framework. So at any point you have any doubts, you can stop me and you can just question on that. You have an open microphone, so anytime you can unmute yourself and you can question on that. So while the installation is still processing, maybe I will just take you through the other stages of Robot Framework. So these are all different libraries that are available in Robot Framework. Moving forward, what all you need to do with respect to Robot Framework, the installation steps and procedures are provided over here. About a couple of months back, or about 4 months back, it was Selenium 2 library that we need to install in order to work with Robot Framework. But now it's going to be just Selenium library because Selenium 3 has come into existence. So this is how the Selenium with Robot Framework was playing around. So first, Selenium library was being used when Robot Framework was introduced in 2005 period. Then in 2008 period, when Robot Framework 2 came, Selenium 2 was also into existence. And because of that, Selenium 2 library came into existence. A new library was created in order to connect all Selenium 2 library codes and steps. Now Selenium 3 again came into existence. Selenium 2 was overridden, Selenium 1 was overridden with Selenium 3. And Selenium library itself has Selenium 3 in it. So now you can say pip install Selenium library and it will install the Robot Framework Selenium library accordingly. So to get list of all installations and procedures for Robot Framework, you can get on to the libraries. So it's completely installed now. Once it's completely installed, you can get on to the libraries. You can choose external, and under external you can choose Selenium library. Over here you have the Selenium library. Just choose that. It will take you to the Git repository where you will have detailed documentation of how to go ahead with the installation, introduction to Selenium library, all that. So this is the code that you need to go with installation of Selenium library. Pip install upgrade robot framework Selenium library if you already have Selenium library. If you don't have, you can just go with pip install robot framework hyphen Selenium library. So all robot framework specific libraries will have robot framework hyphen as a command along with the library command. So you can get onto the command prompt. Pip installs are something which you install from the command prompt, or you can also do it from the setup environment inside your PyCharm. So once your Python installation is done, we need some coding environment for Python. For that purpose, we'll use PyCharm. PyCharm is going to be used for coding your Python codes or robot framework codes, all that. So you can get onto PyCharm environment and you can download the community edition of PyCharm. There are two versions available, community and professional. We can go with community edition. You can just download this and install it. It's a simple installation process as other installations normally. And once you have installed this PyCharm, you can just get on to your command prompt, or you can open your PyCharm IDE as well. You can get on to files, settings. So under settings, when you just search for pip, you will have project interpreter, under which you will have list of pip packages available. So from that you can choose pip package, let it get updated. So this is UI level of installation for robot framework. If you want to install robot framework on the UI level, you can get on over here inside your PyCharm. You can just navigate onto the pip folder. So inside the pip folder, you will have list of libraries. So here you can search for robot framework, and all these are robot framework supported libraries. You have these many libraries available for different functionalities: to interact with CSV file, to interact with Excel, to interact with a web page, to interact with mobile applications. You have robot framework APM library as well. So all these are available as different libraries that you can interact with in order to achieve your robot framework operations. So you can see that APM library is available over here, and then when you scroll down, you will have Selenium library, Selenium 2 library, all that would be available. So you can just say Selenium library over here. Selenium 2 screenshot is going to be used for taking screenshots and adding it. Selenium 2 library is going to be used with version 3.0.0. When you check Selenium library, it is supported with version 3.1.1. So this depends on Python Selenium again, because your Selenium library has Python Selenium internally coded. So this is termed as a wrapper around your basic Python Selenium. So you can install Selenium library by just simply double clicking over here, or you can say install package. This is UI level of installation. If you want to do the same from command prompt, you can just say pip install robot framework hyphen Selenium library. This would just install your robot framework. So this is all about the installation process. Once you have done all these, you will have the Selenium library of robot framework installed into the Python libraries, Python index package libraries. So once that is done, you can create a new project in your PyCharm. You can open your PyCharm. So as you can see there, it looks for Selenium 3.11, and it says all the versions are readily available. So you can just get on over here. You can say file, new project, and you can create a new project. This clear code robot is a project that I have created this way. So once you have created a new project, you can right click there, say new file, and give it a name, test1.robot. So before you actually do your pip install robot framework hyphen Selenium library, you need to do pip install robot framework first. So you need to say pip. So you can use this set of commands what you have over here into your robot framework. In order to work with installations, you have pip install robot framework. This set of command you can use. the same as what you had above. So pip install upgrade robot framework selenium library will just upgrade the library if it was already installed. Let me just do that. And pip install upgrade robot framework will just upgrade the robot framework that is installed in the system. So as you can see that it's just updating to the latest version 304. From an older version I had 302, and it would just get all the environments updated to that particular feature. So all these are going to be different ways in which you can install your robot framework. Once all your installations are done, you can get onto your PyCharm. You can create a new file, as I told you, test1.robot. For the first time, this would ask you to associate this test1.robot with a particular plugin that can actually recognize robot framework. This robot icon is because of that plugin only. Like you have a plugin for Cucumber in your Java, for a feature file in your Java. So likewise, you will have different individual plugins, or like you had a plugin for inspect element in your Firefox, you will have these plugins. You can just use these plugins in order to initiate the environment directly. So on these plugins, you can now start with the robot framework coding structure. So this is all about the basic installation activities. You are provided with that in the documentation. I'll share you this document. So maybe you will have to just go with robot framework hyphen selenium library for that purpose. And then you need to install all desired browser versions. That is, if you want to work with Chrome or Firefox, etc., you need to have those particular versions of the browsers, and you need to have the driver files as well. The driver files for the browser should be downloaded from seleniumhq.org. If you're already working with Selenium, you would be knowing about these. So you can get onto the downloads part and you can see the various driver files available over here. Mozilla Gecko driver, Google Chrome driver, all that. And you can work with these downloads and you can initiate those drivers with these as reference. So this is all about the various installation environments that you need with robot framework. Then you have command line activities that you can use on the command prompt. So you can just ignore all that. And then we have done all these installations. This is for working with API calls, that is web service calls, and this is for working with mobile testing libraries. So various installations that you need to do with respect to this session, we are going to work only with robot framework selenium library. So when you consider different layers of your robot framework, you have these things: script layer, keywords layer, page objects layer, the libraries, and the WebDriver. So first you will have Python and Selenium. That is going to be direct interaction between your Python and Selenium. As if you say driver.get, driver.findElement, all that you will have in your Python. You will do all of that in your Python Selenium. So around this, they will create functionalities termed as open browser. So we term it as keywords basically. Open browser, close browser, maximize browser, or navigate, click link, click button. All these are different functionalities what you have as keywords. So those are all termed as keywords.robot. So you will have Selenium library and the WebDriver. Both of them interact to form the base structure, and under the keyword these things are combined together. So the keyword is going to be called into your script. Only open browser is going to be called into your script. Inside the open browser, what is there will be defined in keyword. So that all depends on your page object, Selenium library, and WebDriver. This is going to be the top level structure of your robot framework. From the high level hierarchy or high level architecture, you can understand this as a robot framework. So getting in more in depth, you will have the structure something like this, where you will have one module inside which you will have the robot framework classes, and you will have another module inside which you will have a separate robot framework page object model and all that. So we'll work with different concepts step by step. So we'll start with a scripting file. So this is termed as a scripting file in robot framework. When you consider the script file in robot framework, it has these sections in it: settings, variables, test cases, keywords. So keywords and variables are optional. Without this also you can have a script. But without a test case, you cannot have a script. You need settings and you need test cases to construct a script. So let's say settings. So for a robot framework, there is a proper structure that you need to follow. When you take up a robot framework, you will have 3-star settings. So there is some issue with respect to the auto suggestion. When you choose the auto suggestion, whatever you have typed is also getting selected along with it. So normally I type 3-star and I chose 3-star settings 3-star. So along with the 3-star, again 3-star settings 3-star got chosen. That is an issue with respect to the robot library that is installed, the plugin that is installed. So you can ignore that part. So settings. Under settings, you will have documentation. Documentation is something that will get reflected in your robot framework document. So these documentations, what you create over here, are going to be directly sent across to your reports. So reports are going to be automatically generated out of robot framework. You have commands that can generate reports from robot framework. Using those commands, when you generate a report, these documentation structures are going to be copied onto the report. So you will have documentation. Under documentation, you need to use a double space. In order to pass arguments, you need to use double space. You will not have brackets and all that. You will have to use double space. So when you say double space, when you say a double space, it means it's an argument that is passed to the method named documentation. So there will be a method named documentation or keyword named documentation in your robot framework inbuilt libraries. You need to give a double space and you write something that gets passed as a argument to this particular method. Inside the brackets, normally what you put is what is going to be updated over here next to documentation. This is about documentation part. Then you have library. What all library do you want to include in this particular project? So you can say library double space Selenium library, which means add Selenium library to this project. Just for the purpose of library, we have settings. If you are going to use built-in functionalities, that is like executing a command, printing a command on the log, all that if you are going to do, you need not create settings at all. You just need test case. That's it. So library is something which is used under settings in order to import. So instead of import, you will have library as a command in robot framework. Then resource. Resource is like if you have a page object model or if you are using some other user defined libraries, all that, those can be put under your resource title. Suit setup or tear down. That is like your before suit, after suit, before test, after test annotations, what you have in TestNG. Equivalent to that, you have this suit setup or suit tear down and test setup or test tear down. Then you have test timeout. What is the time that your test can take in order to execute? This is a common test timeout functionality. So these are all going to come under your settings part. Again, you will have test case following this. So you put a triple star, you write test case. I have used triple star TE, I double click, that triple star gets loaded as such. That is some documentation issue as I told you. So under the test case, you need a title. So when you take a test case, for the test case, you need a title. Let's say the title as open Google web page on Chrome browser. This is going to be the title. Under this title, what all you wanted to do, you can put it in single tab space. You need to use a tab space in order to execute all that. I'll show you a sample code. So you will have the title. Under the title, you need to use a tab space and you will have to execute the code. So what should you type here? When you're starting from scratch, where do you get the details from? What to type or where to start from? So you can get on to robotframework.org, and on robotframework.org website, you can navigate onto Selenium. So you can just get on to libraries, external, scroll down, you will have Selenium library. Choose Selenium library. And there you just scroll a bit down. you will have something termed as keyword documentation. Under the keyword documentation, click on the keyword documentation. It will take you to a different link that is under robotframework.org. So this is termed as documentation of keywords that can be used under Selenium library. You will have list of keywords over here. These are all the keywords that you can use when you call in Selenium library. Capture page screenshot. You can just say this, screenshot will be taken. Checkbox should be selected. It will make sure that the checkbox is selected. If it is selected while you are starting the code itself, while you land on the page itself, if the checkbox is selected by default, it will not click on that. So it will take care whether the checkbox is selected or not, and then it selects it. So if you are going to write a Selenium Python code for this, you need to first check if the checkbox is selected. If it is not selected, then you need to write a code that will click on the checkbox. But if you say checkbox should be selected, it will make sure that the checkbox is selected. Checkbox should not be selected. So when you just get on there, you can pass the locator as arguments. So this column talks about what are locators you can pass. So let me start from the open browser command. So normally open browser is a command that is used to initiate a browser. It's an alphabetical order. So you can get on to open browser command. So you have open browser over here. Just click on that. It will take you there. So these are the arguments that you can pass. So anything that has equals means default argument. If you just say open browser and pass the URL, it means it's going to open Firefox by default. If you say browser is equal to, you can specify a specific browser over there. Which browser do you want to open? You can specify it there. So likewise, your open browser is going to work. So I'll say open space browser. So this is a keyword. Open browser. I'll say double space http://google.com. That's it. So when you say open browser http://google.com, your browser argument can be passed as such. That is, you will have google.com trying to be initiated on Firefox, and because of driver issues, it will not get initiated. So in order to run a robot framework, if you want to execute a robot framework, you will have to just use this particular environment. This code should be used in order to execute a robot framework. So you will have to use robot space -d space result folder. Where do you want to store the result? And you can say space which robot framework you want to execute. So I'll show you that here step by step. So we have just compiled a open browser command which says google.com with a double space, which means google.com is going to be passed as an argument for this open browser method. You can just get onto the terminal at the bottom of your PyCharm. That will locate to the folder directly. So there you can say robot space -d space. Where do you want the result to be stored? You can specify a folder name. So you can just leave it as such without anything, so that the result will be generated directly in your project itself. And you can say which robot file you want it to run. It is test1.robot. Hit enter. It will start running that particular robot file. So it will give you the result accordingly. So the documentation is just printed over here, followed by open browser web page on Chrome browser, but it actually would try to open it on Gecko driver. Message Gecko driver executable needs to be in the path. So Gecko driver should be in the path under the terminology Gecko driver. So you can use system property, and like you say system.set property, you can set the environment variable using system libraries. So to know what is the keyword to set environment variables, you can get onto your robot framework, get on to basic libraries or predefined libraries or standard libraries, under which you have operating system libraries. So here you can just say view under the built-in. here. So it needs to be from system library, collection state time operating system. So you will have set path available. Set environment variables. So under set environment variables, you can just specify the name and value. Two arguments are there. So normally what your error report is telling us, it needs Gecko driver should be recognized in the environment variable path, which means you can just update that over here as a separate command. So while the code starts, the set environment variable would be called in. Since this is a built-in library, you need not add any library command, or you can add that particular library command which says operating system. Library, you can just call in that particular library which is operating system library. And you can say set environment variable. You can just copy that as such and use it also. You can copy it and you can use it. Set environment variable, double space, what is the name of the variable, double space, what is the value. So the value is going to be your Gecko driver executable. Where is your Gecko driver.exe available? So that executable should be set to the environment variable path. So you can just specify the folder. My Gecko driver.exe is available under downloads. So I'll get on to downloads. So I have Gecko driver.exe over here. Just go to properties, capture the location where it is available, and pass it as an argument over there. So you need to give another double space so that they are accepted as two different arguments, so that a single space can be automatically recognized as a single space itself. Whereas when you use this in Java or Python, you need to provide a double quote in order to enclose this so that the single space is recognized as a space and not as a separate command. If you do it in command prompt, you will have to do this. But since you are doing it over here in robot framework, if you give a double space only, then it means it's a argument. So this is not going to split the two terms into two different commands. It's not going to be split into two different commands. It's going to be a single command because double space is used as a separator. That is the reason why double space is used in your robot framework. So once you set environment variables, you can now try executing this once again. Gecko driver executable needs to be in the path. So it's added in the path. Let me just add a double slash. Yeah. So it has now executed to some extent. There is other ways in which you can work with these functionalities where you can just specify a double space. Yeah, so now you can see that it has executed successfully. So this is what I was just talking about. So once your environment variable is set to path, it would start running it as per your expectation. So opening Google web page on Chrome browser is what the title it says, but it is actually opening it on Firefox because we haven't specified any browser name. So this is where your environment variable would have an impact. So it has just opened google.com on the Firefox straight away. And this is how your robot framework is going to work. This is how you need to start with. So you will have everything documented very detailed over there. So likewise, you can use every individual command of your Selenium framework and you can work with. So when you take up your Selenium library, you can interact with every individual component of your Selenium library. So we have initiated a browser. Let's say if you want Chrome, you can just give a double space, you can say GC. All these can be provided as a browser command when you work with open browser. So when you say open browser, you have all these as list of commands that can be used in order to execute with. So you have Phantom, you have Safari, you have headless browser, headless Chrome, or headless Firefox, or Google Chrome, Chrome GC. All these can be used as a keyword. So all these are different keywords that you can use for these set of browsers. So using all these, you can work with different environments stage by stage. You can work with different attributes, and you can open the browser with different structures again. So alias is nothing but we use driver 1, driver 2, driver 3, etc. in our Java. If we are initiating multiple browsers, alias is something which stores that particular component. So you can say alias is equal to driver 1. It means driver 1 is going to be stored with the browser that you initiate over here. You can create one more browser that works with alias driver 2. Later on, you can use that alias name while you are working with specific windows. For switch window activities and all, you can use alias names. And then remote URL, if suppose it's going to be a grid configuration. Then desired capabilities, if suppose you want to open a browser with certain capabilities filled into it. And then you have profiles of Firefox or Chrome or other stuffs, etc. So these are all going to be different components that it's going to work with. So this is all about your start of Selenium, followed by once you have opened the Google Chrome, once you have opened the Firefox browser, and once you have initiated google.com, all that you need now is if you want to click on Gmail on google.com, you have click link as a command available. So you can use click link command that will just click on the link that you specify, and you can specify which link you want to click on. So you can use that command click link, and along with that command what all arguments can be passed is locator. So how to locate the target, where do you want to click? The locators can be populated in different ways. So when you move to the top, you will have different locators available, different locator strategies. These are all different locator strategies available. Using any of these, you can try to locate your target. So you can use click link, and you can use the text locator, or you can use the href locator as you have over here detailed. So everything is very clearly documented with respect to robot framework. When you see through the document, you will understand everything. So let's say click link. You can just give the name that you have over there. So it's going to be Gmail. The text that you have over there, it's going to be Gmail. Followed by, if you want to close the browser, you can say close browser. So you will have a close browser command. You have close browser, close all browser, close window. You have various commands available. And if you want to switch to Windows, you have switch browser command available, under which you can use that switch browser to switch to different windows that you have. You have get window size, get window title, get window position, set window size, set window title, set window position, and then you have select window. All these are different window commands that are available. And if you want to get the title, or if you want to get the text, you have text commands available, under which you can get text or you can extract the text. You have get text, clear element text, and then text should not be. So these are all going to be used in assertions and verifications. Element text should be, element text should not be. All these are used in assertions. So we'll do few assertions after we click on Gmail. Once we click on Gmail, let's say we have loaded google.com and we click on Gmail. I'll run that. And if I run that, it's going to initiate the Firefox browser, and it's going to navigate onto google.com. On google.com, it's going to click on Gmail link. and it's going to navigate over here. So let's say I wanted to verify the title over here. So I'll go to my inspect element window. So I'm doing all this considering that you know Selenium to some extent about inspect element and all that. If in case you're not aware of Selenium inspect element and related activities, I would recommend you to first learn through them and then work on these sessions back again from the recordings. So once you get onto inspect element window under your inspector, you can just see through the head under which you will have the title tag, which should have the details about the title. So you can use that in order to verify or do assertions. So head, style, meta, link, title. So we have the title over here. I'll copy the title. So once I click on link, I would say title should be. I'll use this command. So title should be, what is the title, and message if suppose the title is not matching. If suppose the title is not matching, what message do you want it to print on the report? That is what is termed as message. Title should be, you can say this. Message is optional. Title didn't match. So you can execute this. So it clicks on Gmail and it should verify the title. So we'll get on to the script and check if it has verified the title. The test case is passed, which means it would have verified the title. You can get on to the output. So you have report.html. You can just open that in your system editor, open in a browser, and there you will have a detailed step-by-step report. Every individual step drill down will also be there. So you will have list of critical tests and you will have list of tests that you have done. So you can get into them individually and you will have a detailed report over there. So every individual step will have a detailed report, what has executed there, what all the variables are being used there, what all values have been assigned to the variables or to the arguments. You will have all the details clearly available there. Page title is Gmail, free storage and email from Google. So you have this particular structured report available. This is one of the major advantage why we get on to. So you'll have this full green report. This is one of the major advantage why we get on to Robot Framework. Into Robot Framework, you have this report pre-designed and automatically generated out of your every test execution. So likewise, if you want to populate some values, you have input text and all that. So you have input password, input text into alert, input text into prompt. You have these various ways in which you can do input text functionality. Or if you want to select a checkbox, you have page should contain checkbox, select checkbox, unselect checkbox. All these are going to be used in order to work with checkbox activities. So if you say select checkbox, it will make sure that the checkbox is selected. If you say checkbox should be selected, it will make sure, it will just verify if the checkbox is selected or not. So should be, should not be, all that are going to be verifications, and these are all going to be keyword commands. So you have different types of verification arguments as well available. So this is altogether put into the form of a robot framework. Now let's say you wanted to parameterize this particular robot framework. Then let's say you wanted to parameterize this part. If you want to parameterize this part, you can just add the component termed as arguments. So you have tags, you have timeout, similarly you have arguments as well that a particular method depends on. So using that arguments, you can call the argument values from your other environments. So that is how you can parameterize your codes. So you can pass variables like this. The arguments can be passed like this. So you will have dollar in order to mention an individual variable, @ in order to mention a list variable. So you can just use this particular thing, arguments space which argument are you going to use with under that particular keyword. So let's say we create keywords, the other environment. So under keywords, you can just specify open web page in Firefox as a title. And under this, you can specify all of these. That is open browser, and title should match all that you can pass. And you can say arguments as $URL, $title. So these two are going to be arguments. You can pass the arguments over here. You can say $URL, and here you can say $title. Click link Gmail should not be there. So let's just initiate a URL and check the title straight away. Then you can say open web page in Firefox as a command over here. You can remove all of these. So once you set the environment variable path, you can just straight away say open web page in Firefox as a keyword, that is user defined keyword. For this there are two arguments. HTTP google.com URL is one argument and the title is the other argument. So once you get onto google.com, whatever title you get, so let's say you get onto google.com, the title you get is Google, you can pass that as the other argument. Now you can say open web page in Firefox http://yahoo.com double space Yahoo is going to be the title. So it will open the certain URL, make sure this is the title. For that it will refer to this as a keyword. So this is how your keywords are constructed basically. Your open browser itself is going to be constructed like this only. When you say pip install Selenium library robot framework, this is what is going to be downloaded and stored at the back end of your libraries. So under open browser itself, you will have multiple lines of code like this. You will have open browser, load URL, all those codes will be there under your open browser command. So you can execute this. It will initiate two browsers. Let me just also add close browser as a command, so that it doesn't leave any residue on the screen. So it should open google.com, make sure that the title is Google, close it. Again it should open yahoo.com, make sure that the title is Yahoo, close it. So the test case is completely passed now. So it has verified the two titles. The two titles are told to be matching, and hence the test case is completely passed as of now. So this is going to be basically to start with the robot framework. These are all different keyword structures what you can use, and robot framework documentation would talk about this particular keywords. These are all termed as user defined keywords. When you have the same user defined keywords in another robot file and call it as resources, that is going to be the resource part in your settings. And variables, you have global variables, local variables, private variables, all that. Different levels of variable access would be there. So all that you can get to know about it a bit later on. We might organize one other session for advanced robot framework concept, and we'll discuss on that in detail about different variables that we can use, and different ways in which you can parameterize your test cases, all that. So this is a base to start with. In order to convert all your Selenium codes that you have created so far, you can use this particular Selenium keyword, and you can try to automate all of that. So any doubts so far with respect to what is covered? Yes, Guru. So I got your query. So it can be automated with anything in Selenium. I mean, you can work with multiple windows, you can work with multiple browsers. Cross-browser testing is also possible, and even parallel executions can be achieved with Robot Framework when you are able to create the proper framework structure that you can tweak through. Okay. Yeah. Can Robot Framework be used in working with Windows-based automation application? Yes. Yes, Rahul. So you can automate with Windows-based applications where you will work with various scenarios of, you will have to just add that particular Python library and robot framework library. As I showed you over there in the pip install, you will have list of varying robot framework libraries. So that can be used in automating even a Windows-based application if you are including the right library. So it's all about the library what you add. Your robot framework is nothing but just a keyword concept. It's going to have keywords and it's going to have arguments. Can we create a user defined report? Yes, Ganesh. So user defined report can be created provided you can use robot framework in working with HTML structure codes and HTML parameters and all that. Yeah. So any more doubts or queries? Okay, fine, guys. Thanks for joining. So I'll just share you the presentation shortly. This particular presentation, which I've shared on the screen, I'll just share it with you guys who have joined the session. So I believe I've made a note of the names who have joined the session. So I'll share with you guys on the same channel where you have got the marketing details from, and on the same channel where you got the session details from, and you will receive it over there. And moving forward, we'll keep you posted with all the other upcoming sessions. We'll discuss more in detail about various concepts in Selenium. Thanks for joining the session. So to get an update on the upcoming sessions, you can just navigate onto clearcodeconsulting.com, and over there you can just click on CCCS camp, and there you will get this particular video as well updated. And when you scroll down to the end, you will have the Facebook link, or on Facebook you can just get onto facebook.com clear code consulting. So under clear code consulting, you can just hit a like, and you will get posts and details about opportunities that are available all around India, and opportunities that you get in pan India requirements, which includes Gurgaon, Noida, and Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Pune, Chennai, Bangalore. All of these locations, all the opportunities which I come across on LinkedIn, I post them over here. You will get access to them, and you can also hit a like on the WhatsApp group, and you can join the group. There also you will get list of updates from my Clear Code Camp group. So thanks for joining the session. So this is all about your
Nice
what.
conclusion.
Yeah, thank you.